Hi, welcome to Mind Your Business. I hope you're keeping well and happy Love Month. As I did last year, in the month of February, I interviewed people with the focus of talking about the subject of love because you know what? I know, for instance, that when my love situation is not going well, my business doesn't go well, other areas of my life are just in shambles. So I know that I need to make sure that I can function. And one of the areas that I need to focus on is love. And so we are focusing this month's conversation on love. And I am so excited for the first time to interview a couple that I have had the opportunity to sit at their feet, stay in their home, be mentored not just in words but even by observing. And they are Pastor Fee and Dr. Sybil Pentsil. So let me tell you briefly who they are because there's quite a lot, but I will just sum it up. Pastor Fiifi is a pastor, speaker, and motivator. He's an ordained pastor through World Ministry Fellowship and is currently the senior pastor of House of Worship in Randallstown, Maryland. Pastor Fee, as I call him and a lot of people call him, is a great teacher and has served on several committees in the Baltimore community. His first book, The Ultimate Husband, has challenged many men and women to see God's best in marriage. He has also co-authored numerous teaching and training guides for marriage, personal growth, and church development. Now, to the lady who introduced me to the husband, Dr. Sybil Pentsil, I call her Pastor Sybil, is a multi-talented woman who wears many hats in her efforts to impact society. She currently works as an attending physician in inpatient pediatric medicine at Sinai Hospital of Baltimore. She's also ordained as a minister with the World Ministry Fellowship and has served as a pastor at the House of Worship in Randallstown, Maryland since its inception. In 2005, Pastor Sybil and her husband, Pastor Fee, co-founded Better Life Today, a self-improvement organization. They are known internationally for impacting marriages and businesses. And I'm so happy and privileged and just excited to say I know them too. And I've had the opportunity to sit at their feet. And I'm so happy also that this opportunity to sit at their feet today isn't just going to be me, but all of you watching and listening will also benefit from it. So grab your cuppa, mine is currently empty, or glassa, and join us as we enjoy this episode of Mind Your Business. I want to start this interview or this conversation by finding out about your love story, how it started versus how it's going. As you know, what you can shove into like a 3 minutes of that would be fabulous.
Well, that's a tall question, and I don't think 3 minutes could do it. But the short of it is, I did visit her home, and she became one of my friends. She saw me as a big brother or whatever she would term it. I don't know, but all I know was I was just being innocent in my being friendly, and lo and behold, I had a deal with the Lord that if he didn't point out who I was supposed to get married to, I wasn't going to make a move. And so when he did, well, it took me about a year to come to terms with it. And when I did tell her, it was in writing because she was in the US and I was in Ghana. And obviously her response was no. And so 3.5 years later, at one of the spots in which the Lord assured me it was her, we were there to pray. And the prayer meeting ended up, it was one of my shortest fasting and prayer meetings. because I got my answer and the prayer meeting ended.
Oh my
And
gosh.
and I must say that it's been an amazing journey. I couldn't have done a better job in picking someone to live life with. She's amazing. She's distracting me right now. And, sometimes it's kind of funny, when we're all on Zoom, and she's even speaking, I get distracted a lot. But
Oh.
uh, that reminds me that there's still something, a lot going. So I thank God for his wisdom. But in between, he definitely did train me in terms of what I was being offered. So that has been very important in calibrating and understanding the value of what I have.
Hmm. Oh, I'm just going. Oh, I feel like I'm blushing. Have you seen a very black woman? But before I go to my other main question, Dr. Pentsil, may I ask, why did you say no? Why?
Because it wasn't time. It wasn't, the Lord had not spoken to me, and I needed to get my own clarity. Yeah, so yeah,
Hmm.
simply put, that's pretty much why it was a no at that time.
Want to add to the weight which she may seem to have gotten into, which I got some bit of an explanation from Proverbs, which says that houses and riches are inherited from fathers, but a prudent wife is from the Lord. And one of the meanings of prudent is someone who takes their time to arrive at decisions. So if that was what was going on, then someone who is prudent would obviously take their time to arrive at the decision. And if they did, you're good to go. So I was in a better place to have someone who was sure
Mhm.
about the decision they're making. And for me, it was more confirmation that, okay, God gives prudent people.
Mhm.
So there goes my prudent person. So, just hang in there
Yes,
and
so
see what the Lord will do.
you knew you were on track.
Yeah.
That's good. Thank you. So this question goes to both of you. Before marriage versus now, when you got well, after you've gotten married, what one belief or expectation did you have to surrender after you got married?
I would say for me, it's evaluating people based on my experiences of other humans. So, for example, let's say, men have hurt me, so I'm going to treat my husband from the perspective of, okay, men hurt people. So that's how I'm going to evaluate him. That was a very, very clear switch that I had to make very, very early in marriage. Yeah, it's actually one of our very first and only heated arguments ended in that framework of me understanding, okay, you cannot judge him based on experiences with other people.
And thank God you had that quite early.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Pastor Fee, what about you?
For me, I believe it will be more adding to. Uh, she kind of reminded me of my mom a lot of times in terms of, my mom was a go-getter too. So it was more like seeing another little go-getter now you have to have as a wife. So, trying to figure out how to not assume anything, but learn how to walk with this person.
Mm, mm, right. Thank you for sharing that. Now, I know that you both founded Better Life today. So this one will take it from Pastor Sam. Tell us about the inspiration to, first of all, what is this organization about? What's the inspiration? And one thing you're so
Yeah.
proud about that you've been able to achieve through this ministry.
Yeah, so Better Life Today, it's really our hub for the international work that we do. It's really a space where we're able to really, to a degree, separate out our church ministry work from the global work that we do, which spans many different areas. We really were looking for a space to really center the different gifts and the different streams that we flow in. And I think one of the things that doing that allows you to do is, first of all, see your own potential, right? And be able to appreciate what you have and what you bring. And then to really have some clarity on how you want to impact other people. Now, we knew that we had a lot in the area of marriage ministry, but then we also realized, listen, there are other dimensions in my sphere as a physician, in our sphere of leadership development, of impacting businesses. So Better Life Today was really a vehicle to be able to develop those spaces and really offer those services to the world. I can't tell you of one single thing I'm proud of. There are numerous things that we've been able to do and people we've been able to impact through this work. So I'm really proud, frankly, of our ability to hold it all together. If you ask me what I'm most proud of, it's that, because that's just another vehicle through which we're blessing the people around us.
And so you try, I know some of the countries you go to are in Africa. I'm trying to remember if it's East Africa or something, because you may have told me.
Everywhere Africa.
And so you're training on leadership and things like that. Pastor Fee, did you want to add something to this?
No, I think she summarized it real good. It's just a joy to be able to have that space to reach out to the various aspects of ministry that God affords us to bless others with. So.
Sure. And personally, let me just say that I have been blessed by the two of you in terms of giving guidance about marriage. I remember my privilege to come into your beautiful home in Maryland, spend a night with you, spend time in your church, help me reach people with my books. Oh God, I have no words. I'm still so grateful. And Pastor Fee, you spent time talking to me. I was then, I think I had been married maybe 6 or so years, and some of your words are still with me today. I remember one of the things you said that shocked me, not in the same words, but something to the effect of, you know that as a wife, you are like the number one woman for your husband, right? And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, no. I'm thinking like, that was so hard for me. And even later in life, I would still play it sometimes and say, nah, it's not true, But maybe I have my own things to deal with. But thank you for spending time with me, counseling me. And I wonder, as a couple who have been married over 30 years, did you also have other mentors or counselors or couples that, what's the word? Feed into your life, sowed into your life, like really advised you and help you continue along the journey of marriage?
I mean, we can say it in unison. Short answer, yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, so speaking of that, then, so in this case, that comes to post-marital counseling. First of all, a lot of people, including some people I know, do not believe in counseling or marriage counseling, let alone post-marital counseling. Is this something you encourage? And if you do, when is the best time to seek counseling?
Okay, so let's back it up a little bit, okay? Because I think the word counseling has a bit of a bad rap. Okay, so a lot of people tend to think of even that word counseling as two things. Number one, that thing you do so the pastor will marry you. Okay, you have to go for counseling and then they'll marry you. It's that thing we do when we have a problem. Yeah. So if we're talking about that, then clearly that itself is problematic, isn't it? Even the way I described it, which is the context in which most people see it. So that's the problem. Yeah, it's that context is flawed in and of itself. So I want to submit another mindset, and that's marriage accountability. That's it for a second. Okay? When we think of that framework of marriage accountability, then we would see that we all need marriage accountability. And accountability is not just something you do when there's a problem. Accountability is something we all do every day. Because I have to be accountable to myself, I have to be accountable to my spouse, I have to be accountable to God, I have to be accountable to the people who went and exchanged, money at ceremonies. Yeah, there are many different dimensions of accountability, right? So when we think of it that way, then fundamentally it just shifts how we think about the people who speak into our lives, okay? Now, there are also dimensions of accountability that not necessarily exist in the counseling framework. Because in the counseling framework, we go and meet with someone who tells us what's wrong with us and tells us what to do, and we go back and we do it. In the accountability framework, you can learn from people who got divorced. You can learn from anybody. You can learn from people who've made mistakes, and you can learn from people who've done it well. So when you approach marriage from that accountability mind frame, then you realize that your counselors are many. There are many people to learn from, and the most important thing is having the mindset of a learner. That's the issue. That's the issue. So I want to submit, I hear your question, but I think we've got to back it up a little bit to understand some different dimensions. So for us, that's what we've done. We have many people we're accountable to. We have many people. He knows he can call if I'm being naughty. I know I can call if he's being naughty. And so we've not been naughty because we don't want to be in trouble with the said people. Okay. But it's not just a matter of not wanting to be in trouble. There are also people we have gone to for counsel, not only when there's a problem, but also there's a decision. There's a big decision that's going to impact us. And we want counsel to make sure we're making the right decision, that we're going in the right direction, that we both heard God correctly. Okay. There have also been people we've just gone to because there's a difficulty that we're navigating and we want to hear their wisdom. And we go to multiple people to get multiple spheres of wisdom. And then through that, you hear the mind of God. The scripture speaks to that in the multitude of counsel you find wisdom. Yeah. So again, I want us to shift from that framework of counseling to a framework of accountability. And so when you really see it that way, yes, I believe in accountability. Yes, I believe that couples should have spaces where they can go and they can learn from, and people they can speak to, and people they will commit to receive from. Because that's the other part of accountability. That accountability means that sometimes I have to be willing to take it and take what I don't want to hear, but understanding, especially if I'm struggling, that my vision is flawed. So I can't always see clearly, and I have to be humble enough to accept another perspective. So I'll stop there. I know it's a lot, but I needed to kind of shift the framework that we're looking at how we get help.
And I really appreciate that you did that. In fact, the accountability is such a perfect word. And I wonder why, I don't know, maybe it's done elsewhere, but I am just not used to it. And I know it's something I crave for, to have. I never really thought of the word as accountability, but, someone to speak to, get counsel and get mentorship, especially in the area of marriage, parenting, and all that.
Yeah.
And I wonder, I guess in this case, then it's the responsibility of the couple to get this accountability, because we can't expect the church. I mean, it would be nice if they do, but I don't think it's their responsibility. Is it to
Correct.
Someone?
Yeah, it's the couple's responsibility, but part of that responsibility is a whole lot of humility. And I'll just share briefly, not the details, but we had a situation we dealt with early in our marriage. It was just an external problem that was impacting us tremendously. We were both so hurt by this thing that had happened outside of our relationship, but really destroyed a lot in us emotionally, and we were just like heartbroken over what had happened. And there was an older couple that we knew. We had not labeled them as our accountability partners, They were not our counselors. They were just an older couple who we knew and respected, and they saw what was happening and they called us. They were like, come now, meet with us tomorrow. And the humility part was like, yes, ma'am, yes, sir. It was not like I don't have time. No, no. Accountability means you respond. And we went to that meeting and they kind of told us off.
Oh,
I mean, they sat across us in the meeting, and the essential question we had was, can you serve God for a long time and then get divorced? Like, can it really, after we have suffered and worked hard and still 30 years from now, be broken? Because we were looking at what was happening in other marriages. And they literally sat us down and said, yeah, if you two keep doing this the way you're doing it, yeah. And it was such a whoa moment. And they began to speak to us and say, hey, these are the things you need to do if you want longevity as a minister, if you want longevity as a married couple. These are the things you need to do. But if you continue doing this and that, yeah, that's what will happen. And it was such a jolt to us, But we needed to have the humility to show up and the humility to listen to them and do what they were telling us to do. So I want to submit that that's the part that comes with accountability, a lot of responsibility on the couple to be willing to take it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Pastor Fee, is there anything you want to add to this?
Yes, I know that issue of the counseling, it's just a bad rap, and it looks like you're being put under the gun, like you've done something wrong. You got to report to this individual that you don't even know. And for men who have ego issues or women who have ego issues, they're like, I don't want my business out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's even a flawed statement. Marriage is not private business. It's in no shape or form. You don't engage in marriage privately, period. And its impact is not private either. Yeah, but there's some notion that if you're going to sit in front of this gentleman or lady, then you're exposing yourself, but there's no area in life where you excel without accountability, where you excel without others' input into you directly. One of the things that is very clear is the issue of education. All right, so the Bible will put it this way: my people perish because of the lack of knowledge. All right, and there are so many intellectuals that are uneducated when it comes to marriage. All right, there are so many business people who are so good at their system operate, but they don't even have a good system for their marriage. So it's going to impact your relationship because you're short of information to deal. Yeah. So going to someone else is just like going to upgrade your information, and you have to be willing to receive. Yeah. You have to, put all your idiosyncrasies aside and just go listen to someone who is doing it better or can point you in a better way to do it. Yeah. So I think that is very necessary. Your willingness to say it's necessary for our relationship. Now, if we're talking in the specifically in the Ghanaian context, all right, I want to bring this cultural saying out. All right, we usually don't have a word for maintenance. All right, so going for help is like going to maintain your vehicle. You don't need to go for the maintenance when it's broken down. You maintain it so that it can give you longevity.
Yeah.
So there are maintenance calls that we don't want to attend to because we think it's money being spent on a vehicle that is not broken. So the issue of going for counseling when you are in trouble, sometimes it's, you're just elongating the challenges.
Yes, absolutely.
So having these people in your life like we do, like she says she doesn't want to call. I don't want to call, right? So if I don't want to call, then I do what I need to do,
Behave.
right? So that in itself is a maintenance system,
Hmm. Hmm.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, because if she's crying foul and I know that the next cry would be a call, then you know I do what I need to do and not wait for the second cry.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And I can imagine how valuable this accountability will be for a lot of couples, just to know that we have like big sister, big brother, or people we can. And even sometimes, just like you're saying, just the notion that they are there won't even make you do it. And it doesn't mean they are perfect or anything, but you know, you respect them and you want to behave because you can be reported. Okay. Both of
If I
you.
can add one more dimension, please, that the other part of it is if you go with that humble heart, right, especially as a Christian, you could go for counsel and humility, and they might not even have the correct advice for you, but because your heart is willing, the Holy Spirit will begin to speak to you, and you will now see the right direction to go in. So there's that other angle, because sometimes we come at it with, well, this person doesn't know what they're talking about, so I'm not going to go, right? But sometimes even the humility to go and to listen is what unlocks some things. And now you begin to see, in some of our cases, the foolishness of our ways, or the wisdom to navigate a difficult situation that we can't solve.
And so
Can I add to this? I know we're trying to get as much in.
let's
All right.
continue. Fine.
So when we are Christians, I think that sometimes we forget that there are aspects of our walk with God in itself that if we pay attention to would help us. So I give you one. All right. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Any area that you fear God in, God gives you wisdom. Right? So if you're not too haughty, you're not so arrogant, but you are afraid of God when it comes to your relationship. All right. Now, how does that play for me? Listen, God can easily take me out and give her another man. Right? Because I'm not God's lastborn. Yeah. I'm not God's lastborn. And I'm talking from the perspective of a father. If you mess with my kids, I don't like you. Yeah. If you hurt my kids, I don't want to say it online, but I'm going to do something to you. Right. So knowing that she's God's child and how I treat her, for us guys, it's even said clearly in the book of Peter that my prayers will not be answered if I treat her wrong. Okay. So I wonder the number of businessmen who are struggling because they're treating their wives wrong.
Yeah. And vice versa.
Right. But understanding that in itself now ushers you into knowledge, ushers you into wisdom to be able to deal with the situation. Yeah.
I mean,
And God sometimes is not even looking at what she did. He's looking at my response.
That is some gem right there. That is deep. And there was something you said earlier. If you fear God, like that, if you fear God, it's amazing. I haven't looked at it that way, but any area that you fear God, He gives you wisdom, right? And this whole thing about treating your spouse well, because then it becomes a blessing or otherwise to you. Yeah. Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, before I go to the question I had, there's something I wrote down here, workshops. I remember you may have given me a booklet or something like a workbook for marriage or couples or something when I came to your house. I believe I may still have it. It was quite big. It's like a workbook that has questions about marriage between couples and all. And I remember a desire I've had forever is to have an event, like a weekend event or something for couples. I keep talking about it as this is a desire, but I haven't actually taken any steps. Is this something you actively do? Is this, if you continue doing it, is this in the US only, or do the rest of us somehow get to enjoy, even if it's online?
It's typically by invitation. We're usually invited by ministry groups. We've done several different workshops. Yeah, so it's usually by invitation. Yeah.
I think those are
We've
so
done a few ourselves as well, but now it tends to be more by invitation.
invitation. So all we need to do is find money, fly you to all the way from the US and bring you to Kumasi, Fab Habashanti, so that you can spend a weekend. Just, I love that in workshops, there's time to reflect. You're both given assignments. I do mine, my husband does it. No, I really love that. It's a space for thinking and working on the marriage. I really love that. So maybe God knows it's about to happen. So he's putting things together for that. Okay. So in your work, pastoring, only God knows how many cases you have to deal with. And then also through your leadership training and all that, I'm sure you've encountered several women in business who are also doing the best they can to hold their marriages together. I mean, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, this is not, it is not a funny joke, especially, it's the beginning of the year. Oh, I'm going to be good. I'm going to be this. Holy Spirit, help me. But so many different things are pulling you in different directions. Like, what are you seeing as peculiar when it comes to women in business trying to do what they're doing while still being a great wife at home? Any of you can start.
Yeah, I think it's exactly what you described. It's the balance. But I don't really like that phrase work-life balance. I think it's more prioritizing. Yeah. Understanding the seasons for different parts of everything, right? So when I do strategic planning or do beginning of the year planning, you don't do them in parallel. Your business life is not different from your family life. They're all one. So I think that's one of the things that women in business sometimes struggle with is we're trying to run parallel lines instead of really looking at how things are working together. Because in reality, whether it's a business or it's your career, you're not going to be content if you're not doing all the things well. So I think that's one of the things that's very peculiar is that time management, that prioritizing, and also the attitude and the mindset of understanding which hat you're wearing, right? So whether you're the CEO there, but when you walk into the house, are you still the CEO? No, you're not. And really understanding how to switch that mentality.
Thank you, Pastor Fee. What about you? What have you observed about us women in business who are trying to save the world and everything?
Yeah. To what she said, learning how to prioritize and being able to be fluid in the space that you're in. Uh, Ladies are great at adapting. A typical example is when you have a baby in your womb, your whole system adapts to the baby. All right. And you manage to do all the other things, including the baby. All right. So if you're able to do that, and look at how you guys are graced with the ability to multitask, it comes to you naturally. So if every one of the areas of your multitasking is important, but you just learn to prioritize. So I'm not a burden in your mind. The children are not a burden in your mind. Then it will not become an issue, right? If you think as one who has this as more important than the other, then in itself you'll begin to show in real time what is important and what's not important. And if I'm a husband and I'm looking at you and I can see that the way you receive that phone call and the energy you exude is very different from when we make the phone call, we can tell that something is all right. So that in itself, it's drawing a wedge. All right. So, like, I have tried to, I had this in mind when the children were growing up, that I'll never let them think that living in a pastor's house was a disadvantage.
Mm.
So they can't say that, we don't have our dad for Saturday because I'm preparing for Sunday. Right. So there's no conversation. So, straight off the bat, I shift my time with the Lord into the evenings when they are all gone to bed. So at the end of the day, the only person who may suffer is my wife, but she's an adult and it's easier dealing with the adult than the children. So you got to figure it out, but making sure that the priorities are in place. Everyone is equally important. So I remember early on in marriage, we were going to church. We were about to get out of the car. She says to me, make sure that you don't go and give them everything. And for a moment, I was like, wait a minute. When I thought about it again, I realized, okay, she was saying that don't go and exhaust yourself. And then when we get home, there's nothing for me. Because here was she going to church with me, so she was going to participate in getting whatever I had to offer. But if I overspent myself and then go home like a dog out of breath, then it's not fair. Now, is she telling me not to give my all? No, she's not saying that. She's just saying that have me in mind.
Exactly. Wow, thank you for sharing that example. Hey, Pastor Sybil, but you're deep. Hey. Anyway, I guess once you mature to a certain level, you're able to assert yourself and ask for what you also need. Because some of mommy will be like, hey, let's keep quiet.
No, this was early in the marriage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, you've kind of brought up something I was going to say for another one of your questions, but I can wait for you to ask it, but you said something, asking for what you need. And that's a very important dimension, particularly for women in business who are married, but also for any wife as you grow and mature. Your ability to articulate what it is you need is going to be really important for your longevity. This whole false humility, I'm not going to say anything, and then the pot just boils over, right? Because instead of articulating, you kept it in and you're not in a good place, and then everything explodes, and now we got to clean everything up. That's not, it doesn't work well. Even in academia and business, we talk about setting SMART goals, right? Setting specific, measurable, attainable goals. It's the same thing when you think about your business and your marriage. You said it well. We set out to save the world, but we're not setting SMART goals for the day-to-day, SMART goals for the quarter, right? You're about to deliver a baby. That's not the best month to start a new business. It's not a SMART goal. Yeah. Or your child is in their last year of high school. They have to apply to college. It's not the right time. So we've got to set these SMART goals and prioritize in a way so that we're able to do everything we need to do. And again, SMART goals today, SMART goals for the week, SMART goals for the month, SMART goals for the quarter.
So, Pastor Sybil, you are a medical doctor. You pastor or co-pastor a church. I've seen you playing guitar before. I know you do trainings. You are a mother of 3 very tall young men, and you have 2 beautiful daughters now, right? 2 daughters, not one.
Many daughters and many sons. Let me say that now before we get phone calls.
That's true. I mean, you do a number of different, and then you author books. I have about 3 or 4 of your books already here. And you wrote The O Factor as well. There's something about you that I admire so much. It is your joyful, cool, calm collectedness. You're not just cool, calm, and collected, but you're also joyful at it. And like you're a doctor. I don't know if you work in the ER or wherever, but I know you guys are always like, go. But how are you able to be so composed and yet joyful, play the musical instruments and pay attention to all the different mentees, including Amadan?
It's funny because as you're talking, I'm thinking about my son would probably disagree because my youngest son, is the one who loves to say, Mom, you're up here. I need you down here. Okay? It's like, yeah. He said, because he gets them out of me. So let's start with, am I always happy? No. No. Is life always good? No. Are there often problems? Yeah. Are there often successes? Yes to that too. What I would say though is I've had to learn, I struggled with depression during the season of my life. And there's a part of me that does not ever want to go back to that. Never. And so I've had to learn that in the multiplicity of the things that we're called to, there are blessings in each of those things. And I wrote the O Factor. I had a sister in the Lord who used to call me mother, daughter, sister, friend. She actually would call me that, and indeed I played all those roles in her life. And that's what really honed in my heart. Yeah, women, we do wear all these different hats, and we need to wear them and look good in all of them, So I went through a very hard time in my life, very many different things, but I remember coming away from that with a very silly phrase that has become a bit of a mantra for me. Don't laugh, but it really is my mantra, and it's this. Y'all ready? I am not going down like a punk. That's my mantra. I am not going down like a punk. I've just kind of made up my mind that I've spent a lot of my life unhappy, and I want to own the space of being happy. Now, Pastor Fee said something in this interview where he referred to the capacity that we have as women. And that's one of the things I had to own. Remember, we've talked about how this humility and maturity needs an ability to own the truth. And some of that truth is the foolish things that we're doing. I noticed by assessing myself that I have capacity for my children's foolishness. And I have grown children. But even when they were younger, as women, as mothers, we have such a patience for our children's foolishness. Yeah, and sometimes it's foolishness. So why do we not apply that same capacity towards our marriage? And I was intentional about pointing out older children because I can hear some of the women saying, oh, but he's a grown man. They are children. They don't know. No, some of our children, they're very aware of what they're doing and they still do it, and we still have patience for them. So I had to own that reality that I had a capacity within me that I had to choose to apply to marriage and apply in all these different spheres. So if I had to speak to your question, which has to do with how do I choose joy in the moment, it's a decision. It's a choice to feel frustrated, but to now apply my business mind to solve the problem. I'm a businesswoman. I solve problems. So why can't I solve the issue that's frustrating? I can solve it. Number one. Number two, owning the fact that in that frustrated state, I'm not good as a wife, I'm not good as a mother, I'm not good as a friend, I'm not good in any of the hats I'm wearing. So why am I staying in that state? So I do what I need to do to get out of that state and not act out of what's happening, but rather act from a solution perspective. And then that ties into what we talked about before, stating what your needs are and then solving the problems you need to solve, because we can't let our joy be up to somebody else. And that's been a reality I've had to own. Pastor Fee, please permit me to share this story, because for me this was pivotal. How we get it. This was years ago. It was probably like 25 years ago, when we are still playing those silly mind games that women like to play. What's wrong with you? Nothing, and you don't say anything, and you're sitting there sniffling and they're crying. And one of my sniffling fits, I heard him snoring. He had asked a million times, what's wrong? I know, I'm fine, nothing, and then he eventually just fell asleep. And I'm sitting there going, first of all, I could have decided to be angry, but I just rather called myself out. Like, look at you. What is this? What is this? you're not speaking about what the issue is. You're not solving the problem. You expect someone to feel sorry for you. You're not communicating. And then you want to be upset that they're like tired and decided to go to sleep. He didn't even decide to go to sleep. It's like he kept asking and asking, just kind of fell asleep trying to get me to speak up. And I had to tell myself that this is nonsense. And that this is not the way I wanted to live out my life or my marriage. So again, I go back to this issue. We've got to be honest with ourselves. We've got to use that business hat, that business mindset. We've got to apply that same ability we have inside of us to problem solve and to be patient, apply it to the marriage. So I know it's a long-winded answer, but it's a heavy question. And I don't want to be flippant about it because we're trying to make change. We're trying to really impact lives. So I don't want to just, sometimes we just say, oh, pray about it. And people leave going, you're clueless. So I didn't want people to leave with that mindset. I'm giving you the real practical, real heart deep decisions and things that we have to make and do to show up in that place of joy. And so for me, it's a decision, it's hard work, it's a space that I've just made up my mind. I choose joy. Doesn't mean I'm always happy, no, but I solve my way into joy. Why? The mantra, because I ain't going down like a punk.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing. Pastor Fee, please, it's the season of love month, and you're speaking to primarily women in business. I know there will be others. And I want you to give us your message, your brief message or advice to us in terms of love and chasing our dreams and all. What do you have to say to us?
Well, I believe with all my heart that your excelling, if I should use this word, makes you very attractive. Yeah, you're becoming successful at what you do makes you be still a head turner. All right, we value what you bring as a business person, a professional that is excelling. What you need to understand is that we're not looking at another woman, we're looking at you. It's your ability to keep yourself in the vase and make us keep staring at you, all right, and not staring at another person. So how you continue to relate to us is what's very important. I remember part of my training I got was on the Proverbs 31 woman, right? And there's this, phrase that has to do with, she will do you good and not evil all the days of her life. That means there is a capacity in my wife to do me good all the days of her life, period. I mean, and that means she can even outlive me. Yeah, because there's an inbuilt capacity. So if you know that there's this inbuilt capacity in you, if you don't know, then you think you're struggling for it. No. You're wired, it's already set up in your system. You just have to learn how to deliver. All right. So continue to be attractive, continue to be desired, continue to want us. The more you want us, the more we also think we're in. Listen, we're not looking at anyone else. It's you. All right. Like I kept saying, she's, I'm trying to talk to you, but she's distracting me. Right. So I keep shifting my eyes, and yeah. So what I want every lady to understand is that we value our women. All right. We value our women, and you've got what it takes. We don't have to look elsewhere. Yeah, you are the final package. You are loaded, and you can deliver. Right, you can deliver. Right.
I'm walking away with, I am fully loaded. I've added fully loaded.
If I can add one dimension that could answer this and maybe another question, I think one of the things that's unique about women in business and marriage is there's a money overlap. Okay. So if you're starting a business or doing something business related, it often requires a money input, right? And sometimes that money is coming from personal funds. And those personal funds relate to family funds.
True.
Yeah. So I think that's where it can sometimes create some tensions, especially if the business is not able to bring back that money, then it can cause some tensions in the marriage. So I think one unique thing that's really important is that if you really are using those, if we want to call it family funds, but really every money you put in is family funds, because even if you're going out and taking a business loan, it affects the family. So that's one space where there has to be some level of agreement between husband and wife. Yeah, because then either direction, if things work or don't work, it can impact the marriage. If things work but there's no clarity, you sometimes have to approach it and from a business mindset. Okay, we're going to use this amount of money from our family funds and we're going to reinvest that amount. If you're not clear on some of those boundaries, then later it becomes she took our money, So we have to, that's one unique space that I think women in business need to pay attention to. And if there's no agreement, then you really need to take a step back and think about how you're going to move forward, because it's best to move when there's agreement, particularly when it involves money.
True.
Right. And let me also add to when you're doing better than your spouse in terms of the monetary aspect. Okay. I like to pick from the O-factor scenario where you wear multiple hats. So your ability to still wear the hat, in the business and come home and still wear the hat of the wife,
Yeah.
Like I said in the Proverbs 31, this woman is supposed to be able to do him good all the days of her life. So figuring out, okay, so I am, say in the Ghanaian context, I'm more loaded than him. How do I get home and still, let it not be an issue? All right. Now, from my perspective, your being loaded, is our being loaded. All right. But if you have a man who does not understand that, then he has leadership issues. All right. So I remember years ago, a neighbor asked me, how do I wear the pants in the house? So that's definitely a leadership question. All right. So I asked him, okay, what does the woman do? All right. She's a top executive where she works. So I asked the question, when she comes home, does she lose her brain? All right. Then the second question I asked was, monetary terms, who makes the most? She does bring more money. So the two areas in which he thought he was going to lead were all knocked out of the park. Right. So then I asked the question, at that time, Obama had just become president of America. So I asked him the question, is Obama the richest man in Africa, in America? The obvious question was no. But is he the leader? The obvious question is yes. So I said, then you got to grow your leadership. So if you don't grow your leadership as a man, then you have a lady who is a leader in her own right. Leading a leader is very different from leading a follower. So if there's a man listening and you have a woman who is a leader, then you got to grow your leadership. It's not, she's not trying to bully you with her money. She's not trying to, because she's successful. Yeah. What she's saying, she's just talking as a wife. You're just confusing the issues. So just grow your leadership and let's make this relationship work. All right. She's the best God has given you, and she will do you good all the days of your life. So settle down, and she's been sent to enrich your life.
I just wrote down hashtag grow your leadership. I love that. I love it. Thank you. We are wrapping up, I promise. I just have a few questions. These are rapid fire questions. I begin a sentence, and then you finish with a short phrase. So the first one, okay, we'll start with you, Pastor Sybil, and then we to, because on my screen, Pastor P is up. I raise my hand. Yeah, so we'll go in that order. So the first one is, if I could advise my younger self in one short sentence, I would say,
stop being so sensitive. Get over yourself. Grow up.
Are you sure that message is not for me? Oh my God. Okay, same question, Pastor P.
Don't assume. Work at it.
Wow. Okay. I'm saying wow because of a dream I had and the word assumption. I feel like God is telling me I'm making some assumptions. So I'm like, okay, both of you are speaking to me. I think this interview is more for me than anyone who is going to be listening. Okay, the next one is I am fabulous because.
Ooh, Pastor P, maybe you should go first on this one.
Well, that's a tough one. Well, I have an amazing woman on my side.
Oh, oh.
I'll steal that, but it's also true. I'm fabulous because I have a husband who tells me yeah to whatever I want to do from a career or business perspective. The answer is always yeah, you can do it. Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, you can do it. So yeah, I'm fabulous because I get a lot of encouragement from my husband.
Fabulous. Thank you. And the last question, there's a bonus question coming up, but the last one from me is one book that has greatly helped me in my marriage is.
I'm going with a very, very old one, and it's Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Yeah, because back then it was really, as women, we tend to, and women who are listening, I know you'll admit to it, but don't show anyone that it's true. We sometimes think our husbands have no idea what they're talking about. We sometimes think that we know it all, and they don't. Some of you have even gone as far as to think he is stupid, he is crazy. And that's wrong. I had to understand early in my marriage that we are created differently. We have different lenses through which we look at life. And I needed to understand my lens, and I needed to understand his, and how together we would see the world in a much more beautiful way. So that's the book that I would say for me.
Pastor Fee.
You know, for me, unfortunately, I don't have one book. Yes, I mean that's the truth. I mean,
He's not lying. He reads a book a week.
yeah, you know, so that becomes difficult to say one book. Yeah. Um, so I'm not trying to not put up any author. Um, okay, you know what? I think my book has helped me.
Which one though?
The
The first
Ultimate
one,
Husband.
The Ultimate Husband.
Husband, yes. Yes.
Yeah. You know, the subtitle is How to Find a Virtuous Woman and Stay Married to Her. And I'm still married to her.
Bless you. Okay, so this bonus question is from Mr. Duncan. I told him yesterday that I was going to interview you, and so what question can I ask? He said, well, they've been married 30 years, right? Ask them how they're able to keep the romance in the marriage, still then. And so, yes, this question, I will submit the answer to my boss.
Oh
Hard
gosh,
work.
you don't.
Yeah. Yes, it's work. When I say it's work, I'm not saying, okay, as a business person, work is not a chore.
Mm.
But work means solving the problems as you go along. Uh, so when I do my exercises, I have this in mind. We're dealing with bodily changes. You're dealing with uh, dietary changes. You're dealing with all kinds of things as you go along. So then, of course, having to be able to learn from the other person what their need, or listening to what their needs are and figuring it out. All right. So I'll pack it and let her continue.
I'm shaking my head because Pastor Fee is being very PG-13 and is not telling the full story. So we kiss every day before we leave, before we part ways. We still commit to tell each other important things that happen in our day. He texts me every single day when I'm not at home, every single day. Usually by 11, I should have received my text. I still, when I buy clothes, I still model them for
Oh,
him. I still wear the dresses, whatever I've bought. Yes. I still strut around and shake my thing in front of him. Yeah, he got to see what he missing. So he still, throughout the day, will come up and hold me from behind, whether I'm washing dishes or at the sink or whatever. Or yeah, there's every single day there's a reaching in that he initiates. Often there's a physical touch of some kind, but also my love language is acts of service. So the sexiest thing he can do is take out the trash. I mean, that just turns me on.
wow. What I'm hearing, I
So,
just,
Mr. Duncan,
yeah.
there you go.
You know, you are intentional and you're committed to these, you know, the keeping the touch, the kiss, and all these. It means that, I mean, by 11, your text should have come. It doesn't matter where he is. He knows
Mhm.
that, you know, this is our thing. And I love the commitment. I mean, obviously, if you've been married this long, you've gotten to learn about what the other prefers and then do all the, and it's just so beautiful. You've been married over 30 years, but you both look so young and fresh, and you are talking about modeling. I'm just imagining, hey, my mentor modeling in front of her husband, you know. I can't unsee this, but it's really also so beautiful to know that yes, it doesn't matter. And I imagine you doing this even in your 80s, and you continue. You know, the last time I saw you, I touched your skin. I'm just thinking, how are you able to have such a youthful? Oh, and by the way, I'm using sunscreen. Since you told me, I have been using sunscreen. Yes, I am
Yeah.
listening, and I'm really so grateful for your time. I'm so grateful, especially that I feel like I'm not having you to myself now because I'm sharing a bit of what I've experienced with you with the world. And I feel so, so grateful. And I look forward to returning to your beautiful home, you know,
Yes.
just, and hopefully with Mr. Duncan. Oh, that would be so beautiful. Yeah, that would be
Yes.
so
Yeah.
beautiful. Oh my goodness. Anyway, let me not run away with this conversation. Final thing, how do we find you online? I mean, I know how to easily find you. For anyone watching who says, "Oh, maybe I want to know more about them or I want to speak to them about this or that," how do they reach out to you?
So you can follow our church, which is at HOW Randallstown, at HOW Randallstown. I think that's the easiest public way that you can find some of our content. We are also on Facebook. We need to work up our TikTok and our Instagram a little bit more. I think Instagram for Pastor Fee, you can definitely follow him there. He has some nuggets there. And be on the lookout because March, we do a little bit of marriage madness, is what we like to call it. March is our official wedding anniversary month. And we tend to put out nuggets about each other in the month of March on social media. So be on the lookout for that.
Yes, and I enjoy that. I have very beautiful memories from some of the posts from last year. Okay, thank you so much, Pastor Fee. Any last words before we end this conversation?
Well, I'd say to the men who are on, listen, you have such an amazing gift from God, and your ability to value it and within yourself to start with and then show it. So this issue of me sending the text was not an agreement we came to. It was something I started doing, and now it's become something that I cannot stop doing. All right. So if you value what you have, you got to put in the effort. All right. It doesn't work itself. Yeah. So man, you have an incredible lady. You got to treat her like a lady, and you're gonna get a lady, and more than you bargain for. So honestly, the more I like telling this story to those who are kind of trying to drag their feet to get married. When I gave her the first ring, she changed. There was another side of her I never experienced. All right. Then when I put on the second ring, she changed.
Hey.
Right. And the more, I keep on doing what I need to do, she keeps changing. So there's more, there's more to the person.
More.
Yeah. So the more you invest, it's like you invest in the thing, the more comes out.
Mm.
Okay. So you can't just be aloof and expect the person to keep going without you doing the little that will make a difference. Remember, seeds are tiny, but they grow into big trees. All right. So if you invest today, a kiss here, a good word, compliment. You're not there to compete with them. They are not competing with you. They are there to bless you. So see them as a blessing, and surely you would reap much more than you ever imagined.
Amen. And speaking of blessing, I just feel I should ask you to bless whoever is listening. I don't know what's on their hearts, what they are desiring, but please, can you bless us all before we say goodbye to you?
All right. So do you want to go first, and I'll follow after you? All right. So, Father, we just want to thank you for everyone that has tuned in today. And we ask that you open their eyes of their understanding, uh, give them your view of the gift that you have blessed them with, the man, the woman, and begin to cause them to value and taste of the good things that are awaiting them. I speak peace into your relationships. I declare that your communication would be edifying to one another. I declare that you would speak well of one another. I declare that you would see them as the provision of God in your life. I declare that every form of misunderstanding would give way to insight, even as the scriptures declare that in all you're getting, get understanding. I bless you with the wisdom that enables you to build this relationship. And for every woman, the word of God declares concerning you that you are wise and you are able to build your house. Therefore, I release you as a builder. I release you as one that establishes heaven on earth in your sphere. And as men, I declare that rise as one who God has placed to empower, encourage, and make sure that every relationship within your house never fails to be enriched by your presence, your voice, and by the goodness of God in your life. May your relationship bless the nations. May it bless humanity. And may the Lord rejoice over your house. And I declare that this house shall live. This house shall not scatter. This relationship shall tell the goodness of God. It shall not divide. I speak oneness in your midst, and I release you in the strength of the love of God. May the love that is the most powerful and potent resource of God fill your hearts, and may you nourish one another with this love. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 Mr. Sybil,
Amen.
you want to top
No,
it?
we'll leave it at that. No, we'll leave it at
Thank
that.
you. Thank you so much. God bless you both. What's today's hashtag? Hashtag grow your leadership. I know this came up as Pastor Fee was speaking about, men and in terms of leadership in the home and all. But I feel this is a message for all of us. There's so much. I love the concept of marriage accountability as opposed to counseling. I love it. Like the growth mindsets that you even need, the humility in order to be in marriage and stay married. I love that they talked about. I mean, from the stories, I got that we need to be intentional and we really need to commit. And you know what I'm desiring? A workshop. Hey, I know that God will do it. I also know I need to take some steps to make it happen, because whatever resources I need for this to happen, God has aligned them already. And one day I hope we'll have this workshop soon, pretty soon. And I hope you'll be part of it if you've been listening. If this workshop thing that I'm talking about, a workshop where we are working about our marriage with, leading professional accountability partners like Dr. Pentsil and the husband. If this is something that interests you, please type, give me feedback, and then let's see what the Lord will do. But thank you so much for staying through to the end of this Mind Your Business episode. I hope it's been a blessing to you. I wish you a beautiful love month, and until I come your way again with another episode, remember, first of all, IFAB 2026 is happening in Accra between 18th and 22nd March. I look forward to seeing you. The link is in the caption. Ta, toodles, bye.